Welcome to Ask Dubey. I'm very excited to launch this new show on Oilers Nation. If you're unfamiliar, I'm Devan Dubnyk. I played 12 years in the NHL, some of them for the Edmonton Oilers, Nashville Predators, Arizona Coyotes, Minnesota Wild, San Jose Sharks, and Colorado Avalanche. That sounds like a lot, but most of my career was spent between Edmonton and the Minnesota Wild. I played 500-plus games in the league and know a little bit about hockey. I've seen a few shots come my way and watched a lot of hockey. I did some analyst work with the NHL Network, currently working here, Oilers Nation, analyzing the Oilers games, playoff games, so this is a perfect time to get this show going and explain what this show is about. This is an exciting show, I think, a chance to interact with fans, and it's an important thing, not to get your cliche answers, your post-game answers, your regular media answers. I want to field questions from you guys, anything you can think of, on the ice, things you see in the league, things you see in youth hockey, off the ice, anything you want to just get an answer from an ex-NHL player. I'm happy to give you candid answers and insight from my perspective on that stuff. Best way to get your questions answered is by tagging Oilers Nation on social with the hashtag AskDubey, or drop your question in the comment section on the YouTube videos. Perfect time to get this show rolling, coming off of Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, Edmonton versus LA, and what a game it was. A tale of three games, in my opinion. You start in the first period. Different feel to this series for whatever reason. Going into the previous seasons, I felt like Edmonton had this swagger and this confidence, like they were going to walk all over LA, and they did so by shortening the series by a game each year, down to 5 last year. They took care of LA, but definitely a different feeling going into this one. I feel like this is a better LA team, and you could kind of sense it when the game started. I didn't mind Edmonton's first period. I thought it was a terrible call on Kulak to begin with, and unfortunately Edmonton was not able to execute on the penalty kill. Great play by LA, though. Not much you could do if you're Skinner there. Nice play. I thought Edmonton carried the play pretty well. I didn't mind the first period. They had the puck a lot. I didn't love the lack of scoring chances. I thought they were trying to be a little too pretty. Obviously, they've got a ton of skill, but I thought there were a lot of passed up opportunities to shoot the puck, and LA was doing a good job defending. It felt like there were sort of chances for Edmonton, but not a lot of danger ones were getting on net. And then, of course, a dagger at the end of the first period that puts the game 2-0, and definitely a different feeling going to the second. In my opinion, the second period was not good at all for Edmonton. They went away from having possession of the puck and not getting chances to just not doing anything. They weren't shooting. They weren't generating. Really, it was kind of nothing. And then on top of that, as the period went on, two pretty brutal mistakes from Evan Bouchard. A failed clear up the boards, little slow getting back, missed it by a few inches, missed the pass, falls behind the net. Not a good look at all for a tap in front of the net, and similar ill-advised pass to Connor McDavid. I say to Connor McDavid, although it wasn't really to anybody. Even Connor McDavid can't handle that pass in that situation, right onto Danault's tape and in the back of the net. Things were looking bleak for Edmonton, but just a glimmer of hope at the end of the period. They decided to put Connor and Leon together, which they had in certain situations. Magic happens, as always, with those two. McDavid makes a great spin-off move and hits Leon, and there's a little bit of hope. Going into the third period, you're thinking, hey, let's just come up with something here, something to feel good about probably going into the next game. The LA Kings don't usually give up multi-goal leads, never mind a 4-0 lead. And the third period is the Edmonton Oilers we want to see. They were pushing, they were aggressive, they were creating scoring chances. Lots of good things. Penalty trouble again. I thought the calls in the third were garbage. The call on Hyman, a legal check to the head that he didn't hit the guy's head, doesn't make sense. Then you get the roughing penalty in front on Wallman. This is playoff hockey. You don't call that roughing ever. If anything, he hurt his neck from throwing his head back so hard, but that's just not a penalty to me in playoffs. Never mind putting a team down 5-on-3 in the third period in playoffs. Sure enough, they put it in the back of the net. The game seems, again, out of reach for Edmonton. Then we get the strange 2-minute 5-on-3 call with the delay of game penalty. Then we find out you can challenge that, which was new to me. I just found that out. You assume that when they challenge that, they have some glaring footage that shows that it's obvious, or why would you risk going down 5-on-3? But either it was a poor decision by somebody for the Oilers or poor replay by the NHL. I think it's a combination of both, personally. Edmonton ends up down 5-on-3, and I think this was a really big spark for the Oilers. They have an incredible effort from all three penalty killers who spent just about the entire kill stuck in their end. Stuart, Skinner, and all three guys out in front blocking everything. Skinner coming up with huge saves after that, kept them in the game. And I think that's what is really exciting if you're an Oilers fan, is I thought Stuart Skinner looked extremely confident in the third period. And the only reason that this game ended up tied 5-5, one of the only reasons, is that Stuart Skinner made some incredible saves, 4, 5, 6 of them, and was solid and looked right on top of it. And that's the confidence that we need to see out of Stuart Skinner going forward. Incredibly exciting to watch Connor McDavid tie the game at 5-5, and just as deflating to watch it come down the other way. And they got caught a little bit on. It was an extremely long shift there, which you can't blame them. They almost had an opportunity to go up 6-5. The Oilers did, and you could see they're just exhausted on the back check. And unfortunately, a flutter ball, kind of a fluke play, ends up in the back of the net. So absolutely crazy hockey game, exciting entertainment for everybody involved. And I think if the Oilers can take their game from the third period and move that into the puck drop in game 2, they're going to have a much better chance for success. And with that, let's get into the questions. Just a reminder to get your questions in and answered. Tag at Oilers Nation on all social media platforms with the hashtag AskDubey, or drop your question in the comments section on YouTube or on this video, and we will do our best to get them answered. Let's hop into the first question from my playing days back in Edmonton from Aiden. What is your favorite place to eat in Edmonton? I got a few for this one. 2 places called Allegro, and these are going to be, this is a while ago, so I don't know if all these places are going to be open still. I know one of them is. There were 2 different Allegros. One was downtown that we used to eat pregame meal at for home games, and that was a great spot. And there was another one right by where I lived on 142nd Street, also called Allegro. I don't think they were affiliated though. They had an unbelievable ham, pea, pasta that I can't eat so much of anymore because don't burn the calories off as much. But it was one of my go-tos. And another favorite place of mine when I was staying in the hotel downtown was Sorrentino's downtown. That was our go-to for all the guys that were stuck at the Sutton Place living in the hotel. Sorrentino's downtown, they had a veal meatball pasta that was also incredible. And unfortunately, it took off the menu there. If it's back on, let me know. I might have to find my way in Edmonton to try those veal meatballs again, but those would be my favorite spots from when I was playing in Edmonton. Second question from Connor. Yo, Dubey, curious now that you're a little bit removed from your playing career, what's one piece of advice you would give your 18-year-old self? That's a great question and an interesting one to think of, because when I think back, obviously I went through a lot of ups and downs in my career. I wouldn't take anything back though. I was extremely happy. There were a lot of down times when I'd love to change things, but when I look back on it and where I am now, I really wouldn't want to change anything. I learned so many things from the ups and the downs as a person, and getting to grow with my family, getting to be here in Minnesota as our home now. So many things that happened that I wouldn't want to change. One thing I wouldn't tell myself is it is very difficult to make the NHL and as a goalie. And when I say that is because it's important for kids and anybody who dreams of playing professional or playing in the NHL to hold on to that dream and really, almost for lack of a better word, naively hold on to that dream. Because if you look back at all the pieces that need to fall exactly into place, skill level or not, for everything to happen the way that it did, if you knew that at 18 years old, it might seem extremely overwhelming. I know it would have for me, to think ahead, take it from draft day. I just got drafted first round to Edmonton. Everything is amazing. I'm going to play for the Edmonton Oilers. And that's how you should be thinking. And if you look at Nikolai Habibulin had to hurt his back for me to get an opportunity to play. Then we had to be bad. So I really had an opportunity to play because it took me a while to get there. And all of these things that happened, getting traded, ending up in the American League, I needed to get a chance. It had to be in Arizona to get this opportunity, and getting traded to Minnesota at the right time. I mean, all of these things, the way they need to fall in place, it would be extremely overwhelming as an 18-year-old to know this. So I think as an 18-year-old, I would just tell myself the same thing, is just keep dreaming and focus on what you got to do to get there and not everything that needs to happen. Next question from Jumpin' Jim Rivers. Dubes, what do you remember about being traded to Nashville? What was the phone call like? Ah, a lot of things, not a lot of good things. Remembering being traded to Nashville, it was just crazy. I got the full finding out from text messages before I actually talked to the team. And this was a while ago too, but I remember we were in Minnesota and things were obviously not going well that year. It was an extremely difficult year, and we were on the road in the hotel room, and I got a call from Ricky Olczyk, our assistant GM, and he said, "Can you come up to my room to talk to me?" And I instantly got extremely nervous. I knew, something's up, but you don't know for sure. And before I even got to the elevator, my phone just started ringing. My brother was calling me, my friends were calling me, and so obviously it all got out in the media that the trade had happened before I even got an opportunity to talk and be told. And it was really a crazy experience for me. Being the first time I was traded, I always dreamed that I was going to play in Edmonton my whole career, and obviously that's not realistic for most people. A lot of guys do, but I remember waking up, after the first few days after the trade, you go to sleep and you have these weird dreams, and I would wake up and I would have to ask myself if it really happened. Did that really happen? I'm no longer an Edmonton Oiler. I'm now a Nashville Predator, and it didn't feel real for days and days after. I'd fall asleep and forget and wake up and remember I was now a Nashville Predator. And there was always part of me that would think that, maybe I can go back. Maybe after the season I can be an Edmonton Oiler or something. And it was a weird experience. I'm sure it is for everybody when they go through it at first. It was tough, and going to Nashville was not a lot of fun for me. I didn't play well. Mitch Korn, the goalie coach there, wasn't a huge fan of me. I didn't give him a lot of things to be a fan of, so it wasn't a whole great situation. And then obviously didn't finish the year well, finished in the American League. So a lot of trades can be great, like the one to Minnesota. That one in Nashville was certainly not a great experience for me. It was a learning experience, and we got through it. All right, last question from Lance Kane. What's your opinion as a goalie on the players starting to aim at the goalie's head from the goal line? Also, what's your opinion on the reverse VH being taught as the go-to move? Also, why do you think stacking the pads have gone out of fashion? Well, I love stacking the pads. I didn't do it that often as much as the old guys do, but I definitely did a few times. Let's start with the goalie's head thing. The reason that the heads are targeted is because going into the second part of that question, the reverse VH is overused, and it is a save selection. Almost not even a save selection, but they start in the reverse VH, and really, unless your shoulder is well outside of the post, you can't cover that spot. So the guys get into this situation, and the shooters are so good that they know if they shoot it by the ear, he can try to close it off by shoving his ear to his shoulder, but with how hard the shots are, nobody can actually close it off. And so guys know that if they get into that reverse VH early and are sitting there, they can have the best angle, the best seal, everything, but there is still a spot to shoot it off the ear and in, and you can do it from behind the net. You can do it from on the goal line. There's really not an angle that you can't. So guys are targeting that when they don't have a place to shoot, and guys are so good that they can actually hit that spot. So as far as the reverse VH goes, I definitely think it's significantly overused. I think there's a bit of a change going on to a thing called overlap, which I like the idea of, and that's instead of immediately getting to your post, you allow your skate to go on the outside of the post so that you can play deeper and you can play the bad angles, but you can stay square and keep your feet free. Playing on your post is one of the most difficult things to learn as a goalie, because you have a post that is interfering with your movement, and it's in your way, and it's awkward, and it's pressing up against you. It's like trying to do something against the wall. It's extremely difficult to do. That's why there's so much practice to it. Now with this overlap, to try to get rid of these bad angle goals or short side goals that guys get into the reverse VH and get flat on. Guys are putting their skates on the bad angles just outside the post, and it allows them to square up. It allows their feet to be free as well, to move, to drop in a clean butterfly and not be stuck on the post, essentially. That's what I think we're seeing. I still think that there's just way too much unnecessary movement on goalies' knees. I don't understand exactly. There's definitely situations for it. I don't like that guys use it and just sit on their knees, because as far as I'm concerned, everybody moves better on their feet. You got two edges on the ice. You just don't. There's a handful of goalies, short list of goalies that could truly move out of an RVH as powerfully as they can on their feet. I like to see it continue to trend away from it a little bit. And lastly, as far as the stack pads go, I think there's just so much training. It's like anything, as things evolve, there's just so much goalie training on technique, and guys are so fast now and able to get from point A to point B in structure, and there's so much practice and repetition that it's just not really built in the guy's repertoire, but it certainly does make it extremely exciting when you see somebody break out of it and do an old school stack pad. Thanks for all the questions. We'll do it again next week. Make sure to submit your hashtag AskDubey questions on Oilers Nation social media or in the comments section on YouTube. And to finish off each show, I will give you a final thought on anything around the league that is of interest on the ice or off the ice. And this week, it's that time of year, has been for weeks now, but the coaching carousel continues. Teams tend to fire their coaches who did not have success throughout the year, and it's something that happens every year. Dan Bilesma just got let go from the Seattle Kraken, but there seems to be a turnover. There is a lot this year. I believe there's 6 already. So my thoughts on this is it's an interesting time. There's been a slow transition away from the old school recycled coaches, for lack of a better term. You see kind of the same guys move around here and there. And I think it's because it's moving away from that because times have changed. It's a different era. It's a different generation. Whether you like it or not, these kids need to be coached differently. And that's just the way it is. There's not the old school yelling, old school type of coach that I grew up with. It's just not a thing anymore. So the guys that stick around, these guys, it has nothing to do with their hockey knowledge. They know hockey as good or better than anyone. But if they can't evolve to connect and teach these younger players, it is a new generation on how to teach and how to connect with these players. If they can't do it, you can see their stints, their times around, they get shorter and shorter. And then you start to see these younger coaches, whether they're American League coaches, guys that are coming up with that don't seem to have a whole bunch of NHL experience or even pro experience for that matter, but they know the game, they've studied the game, and they know how to connect and teach players and get them to perform at their highest level. So I think you'll still continue to see that trend of moving away from your household names unless those guys are able to evolve. And those are the guys that tend to stick around, that can evolve and connect with the players. Thanks for joining me in my first week. I'm looking forward to it. Until next time, hashtag AskDubey.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.